Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Intrusive Thoughts by Adam Rippon. Surprise, it's me, Adam Rippon. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're well. I hope that you're having a great week, and I hope that this episode finds you at just the right time in this week to just give you that last push over the hump, right over the hump, that famous Thursday hump in the week, even though it's about over. Now, that being said, I always try to keep the podcast positive. I always try to keep us in a lighthearted mood, and that's just not going to be the case today because I have a few things I need to go over, and they're all, for the first time ever, everyone, for the first time ever, they're all related to each other. Yes, because I did have one clear conscious thread of thought. So this will be exciting, and it might not seem that way at first, but it'll all come together. So I want to talk a little bit about fitness. I start tearing up a little bit. I'm getting nervous. My hands are clammy. So I want to talk about fitness. And now what does that mean? Well, it means getting fit, obviously. And when I talk about getting fit, I want to talk about how I have before on this podcast talked about how I felt like there was a time when I needed to do a full and complete overhaul of the system, which is what in this scenario I'm calling my body. So overhaul of the system of a downfall, system of a downfall. Good title of ep. Save that. Clip it. All right. So I've talked about that before, of how I saw this picture of myself and I had the body of a baby doll, the little round, very smooth belly. And it had to go. And so that's when I started going back to the gym after taking a few-year hiatus. And I've been back in the gym and, I've been doing all of that stuff. Now, there's one component of being in the gym that I've really foregone, and I wish I could forget, but I can't, and it's the cardio. I just have not wanted anything to do with the cardio. And I have also mentioned on this podcast that I got the flu, which I've been using as an excuse for 2 months. In those 2 months, I did not go to the gym because I was still, I'll say it in quotes, recovering. Well, I think I've recovered. But now it's time to recover from the recovering. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to take it kind of seriously because I'm going to be 36 years old this year. If you tell anyone, I'll fucking kill you. But I'll be 36. I know it's shocking, but it's the truth. And sometimes the truth is a bit shocking. And I feel like at 36, I want to be in great shape. And I think one of the goals I have is I want to take a hot, slutty picture of myself just for old time's sake. That's sort of the goal. And I think it's kind of whatever can get you out of bed into the gym. You shouldn't complain about it. You shouldn't focus too hard on it. Whatever it is, use it as the motivation. That's my motivation. Okay. So cut to a few months from now, I'm looking, really good on Instagram. Let's just say that. So to hold myself accountable, I was I'll take down my measurements of how measurement are my arms and legs and whatever, and the weight. And I thought the weight was interesting. Okay. The weight is always interesting, believe me. So I got my weight, and I did that in the very famous way of just stepping on the scale and seeing what that said. And I didn't really care for what it had to say. And I'll tell you, well, what do I care? You're only seeing me from the neck up on this program. But this scale, the one that I used, which was in sort of the US metric of pounds, did tell me, and I believe it because I stepped on it a few times because I went, that can't be right. And it was correct, actually. The scale told me I was 172.8 pounds. Okay, I don't know if that means anything to you. It doesn't really even mean anything to me. But I'll tell you what it does mean. It's like the benchmark of like where I'm starting. I also don't feel like I need to lose like a lot of like lbs, right? Like I think I just need to like, there's some fat on here. All right. There's some juicy fat on the bone. That's for real. Like we got to be honest. I can't be one of those people that's like, I don't have anything to lose. And it's like, no, you've got a little bit to lose. Like, let's get real. Because I ordered one of those like fat pinchers. Because when I was competing, I'll tell you, there was nothing. It was like a piece of paper. I could like grab a little bit of skin. And if I pinched too hard, I'm sure it would have broken through. It would have been like popping a bubble in like bubble wrap. Like that's how like thin. I could have broken the fat with my finger. Not now. You know, this fat is here to stay. So I did the little pincher. And if I'm right, I think I'm like 19-20% body fat. 80% lean USD meat, baby. That's what that means to me. 80% lean beef, but 20% body fat. Okay. So basically, I just want to I want to trim some of the fat, but I'm telling you the number 172.8 because it also means another thing that I went back. And so when you're like an elite Team USA athlete, now, I mean, anybody can do this, but they had the technology like years ago, like 2015, 2014, that you can go get this thing called a DEXA scan. All right. So a DEXA scan is basically where you like lay on this X-ray thing and it doesn't matter what shape you're in. You could be like the thinnest person in America, but like you'll lay on this thing and it's just like you're laying on it. So it's like every part of you is like flattened out. So it didn't matter that at the time I was thin. I had they show you the picture and you're like, that's me. And you look like the Venus de Milo, like wide hipped, hair dripping down. You're standing in a clamshell. Like I'll find this photo and you'll get what I'm saying. So I was looking, I wanted to see like, what did I weigh? Like what was the deal when I was competing? Cause there's definitely been like a shape shifting with the, system, as I mentioned earlier. And I was curious, like, what was it when I was like an athlete? And I found one of my old DEXA scans, and I've only found one of them. And this DEXA scan was from 2015, so it's like 10 years old. And it said that when I was competing, I was 148 pounds. My eyes roll out of my skull like marbles. I'm searching for them. Yeah, 148 pounds. Now, I was in the trenches of an eating disorder. All right, let's get a grip on that. What was I eating? Just yogurt. That can't be good. And it wasn't. Tasted good. Love yogurt still to this day. But yeah. But I do know that like when I was like good, in shape, like doing well, 150 though. So still that's 22 pounds more than now. And I think that like, I'm not trying to do like more than that. Whatever. Who cares about any of this fucking bullshit anyway? This isn't even what I want to talk about. But it still like connects with what I want to talk about. So if you're still here, thank God. Sorry for that. Okay. Anyway, now you know that I'm 172 pounds. My driver's license says 160. Now that's kind of a goal weight, I think. So the driver's license says a goal weight. Reminding me of one thing. I have a friend whose driver's license says that they weigh, and they're 5'10", fully like adult human man. Their driver's license says that they weigh 45 pounds. Yeah, that they're lighter than one of my dogs. 45 pounds. And they said, I just did the measurement wrong. They're not from the US. They thought, I don't know, because that's not even what they would weigh in kilos. So I don't know what was going on. But if you do ever run into a man whose driver's license says he's 45 pounds, that's my friend. Just call me. We'll get it all figured out together. So what do I want to talk about? So, okay, if you go to the gym, you have to go to the gym if you want to like get into shape or a shape or train or whatever, right? Okay, finally, the episode's picking up. Sorry, I had to get warmed up. Oh, God, I talked about an eating disorder. Whatever. We can't take back the past. We can only focus on the present. Okay, let's go. All right, you got to go to the gym. Now you're like, oh, finally, the episode's picking up. He's talking about going to the gym. I swear there's a point. All right. And it's really, I do need to talk about this because it bothers me so much. So when I was training, would go to like a small gym that was like either inside one of the rinks that I was training at, or if I was training in an Olympic training center, I'd use like the gym there, which was like gorgeous and beautiful and fantastic. Well, now, I'm a normal person. Well, ish. Okay. Now, I'm not a normal person, but I have to do normal person things. Like I have to join a gym, which I never had joined a gym before. There was a moment in time when I like was a member of a 24-hour fitness. But I believe that there's a reason that other gyms aren't 24 hours because there needs to be a few hours where they hose that shit down, which they're not doing at a 24-hour fitness. It's basically they're just letting the disease like fester and nobody's ever clean. They just need to take a fucking power washer inside that 24-hour fitness and hose it the hell down. It's insane. Okay. What I'm getting to, like, get to the point. I know. But what I'm getting to is this. In my journey, I'm trying to change the system, as I said. I'm trying to rewrite the rules. You got to go to the gym to do that. And so the gym that I go to an Equinox. Okay. I know some of you are going, oh, of course you do. Oh. Of course you do. You're the part of the coastal elite. I want to explain a few things. I'm just like you. I'm not, but let me finish my thought. We're not that different, you and I. And what I mean by that is this. If the gym is good, I don't care where I'm going. Now, I live in, I don't live in the heart of LA. I live in Pasadena. I've mentioned it before. But I live downtown Pasadena. And so it doesn't matter where you live. If you live in a downtown area, whatever state, whatever city, you're getting the busiest gyms, no matter what. So to the people who live in the suburbs are I don't understand why people do that. Well, that's because the Equinox that I'm trying to go to is the Planet Fitness that you're going to in the suburbs. Okay. You're paying $10 to go to an empty, clean gym. We're not talking about the same thing. Because if that were the case for my Planet Fitness, I'd be walking in there with a stack of 10s going, this one's on me. To everyone. I'd be paying for everyone's membership. If my Planet Fitness was an empty, beautiful, clean Planet Fitness, which some of you are going to. And you're going, well, I'm going to Planet Fitness. Well, of course you are. Yours is clean. All right? The Planet Fitness where I live is it's a war zone. It's that you're not getting out of there unscathed, right? You're not leaving there without a few bruises, without getting into a fight with a 16-year-old. That's happening regardless. And that fight is happening, maybe it's happening in the parking lot. Maybe it's happening at the front desk. Maybe it's happening at a machine or at the weight rack. That's what's happening at my Planet Fitness, at my local Planet Fitness. So that's not, I'm not doing that. I cannot do that. I'm so sorry. And I'm saying this because I want you to know that, listen, if we had the same option of Planet Fitness, I'd be going there. Now there's another like local gym. There's a 24-hour fitness, which like I used to go to. I went to like 10 years ago. And like I said, I don't believe in fitness being 24 hours. I believe in fitness being about 12, maybe 14 hours. Like I believe in 14-hour fitness. I don't believe in 24-hour fitness because there need to be about 10 hours of hosing down things, letting things air out, right? Like there need to be a few hours of that, maybe at least 4 or 5 hours of hosing down equipment. And that's what I believe. So I believe in 20-hour fitness. How about that? But not 24-hour fitness. So I'll never go there again. If those doors never lock, I'm never entering. So that's my deal on that. Now, the next kind of gym is like an LA Fitness, which again, I think Pasadena, we have like one of the best LA Fitness in LA. Like it's clean, it's big, but still, you're gonna get into a fight with a teenager. I don't want to do that, right? Like I know that the teenager can't afford to go to the Equinox, so I'm not gonna get in a fight with a teenager. I can get into a fight with an adult at the Equinox. So, that's where I stand on that. And I'm just surprised that there aren't different options. Like I have, and I'll tell you this, like I've walked in like I was presenting a deal at a Shark Tank and I've walked into like a local hotel. I don't know if I thought I was being like so clever doing this. And I'll tell you, it never worked out. So I walked in going, hey, I want to know if I can work out some sort of deal so that I can use the gym here. And it was like, I don't know, like a Hyatt. And they looked at me like I told them I had a bomb strapped to my chest. Like they were like, get out. We never want to see you again. So, okay, that didn't work. I thought that was genius because these hotels, there's one of them that like I walk by, like it's all glass windows. There's not a soul in there. Like it is completely deserted inside that hotel gym. I thought I'd at least lubing the equipment up in there, helping them keep things in working order. But, they were not into that idea. So I never did that. And then the other problem is this, like the other gyms around my area are like specifically like CrossFit. Like they don't have real equipment. It's just like ropes and like hammers and I don't know, other things like that. But they're like specialty gyms. So it's not like they don't have like equipment and stuff. So I go to the Equinox and I do that to just sort of like, I just don't want the kids in there, right? I'm very pro kid. I'm not like pro kid in gym. I think if you're a child, you should go to the park and work out outside or get a part-time job or something. But I'll say I like that the kids have a place to go because you see a lot of them like hanging out at the LA Fitness, which I think like if you're the kid in the scenario, that's a good place to hang out. Like you're hanging out at the gym with your friends, but I don't want to be around you when you're doing that. So that's why I am, long story short, cut to, it's been about 45 minutes of me talking straight about complete nonsense. Whatever. It's called Intrusive Thoughts. You know what you signed up for. So I go to the Equinox and I'll tell you, it's not worth $1 of the money I pay. I don't know what it is. I cannot remember the amount. I think it's like $230. I know. Even I'm getting hot thinking about it because I'll tell you that it's just the best option around me because I can go and for the most part, things are like, it's empty enough, but it's still like incredibly crowded. Okay. Like it's still very crowded. There's still a lot of people there. And this is what I don't like about it. And this is how I know it's not worth the money at all. Like it's just expensive LA Fitness. Like it's not good. Okay. And before I go completely off the rails, before I go, I want to say the staff is phenomenal. Like they are worth the money. The hi, Adam, welcome back. Like I always, and they say that to everybody. I mean, because, when you check in, it shows your name. So it's not like they're bartenders, who have the greatest memories of any humans alive. They're just sort of, normal people. Yeah, but that does not, I'm going to go back to it, not negate the cost of $230 a month. Okay. I know that Planet Fitness is $10 a month, right? I know that LA Fitness is $40 a month. But this is how I reason it to myself, because I know, like, not even now, like, I'm hearing the echoes of my former, comments now kind of hitting my ears going, what the hell? Yeah, I know. Okay, but this is how I reason it to myself. Okay, let's say it's $40 a month, right? If I see some sneezing, coughing 17-year-old group of boys, right? I'm still afraid of them. When I was 17, I was afraid of the 17-year-old boys. Now, when I'm an adult, I'm afraid of them too. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're up to. I would pay them $200 to kind of scram. So I am sort of thinking at the end of the day, I'd be $240 down anyway. Because I'd be walking in there going, hey, here's $200. Knock yourself out at Chipotle. Just please leave. So if you think of it in the terms of like that, it all evens out, right? If you're at the 24-hour fitness, if I remember correctly, maybe it's about, I'm assuming it's about the same price as like LA Fitness. Maybe 30, because since it's open and it's not clean. So, I would pay $200 to be like, hey, let's clean this whole thing up. I'll help you. I'll chip in. Let's clean it all up. And if you think of it in terms of you are absolutely intolerable and insane, and you'd end up kind of breaking even at the end. Yeah, yes. And I'll say, listen, here, sometimes I do take advantage of this at the Equinox. You have like, with your membership, you can pay for, now I'm like on the front lines of like, hey, it's not that bad. It is, but you can do as many classes as you want. So like I've taken like some of the yoga classes or, whatever. So you're not paying for any of the classes except Pilates. Somehow they've reasoned that Pilates you have to pay for. Whatever, bitch. Like, fuck off with that, please. But you can do any other class and you're not paying anything. And I have friends who like their form of fitness is to like go to a Barry's boot camp. Never. You'll never see me at a Barry's because I don't believe in working out in the dark. I believe the lights should be on. And then, I just, we all have to save money, but let's not save money by turning off the LED lights, which are maybe costing you $20 a year in lights. Energy saving. They're not Edison bulbs. Like, come on, turn them on. And I have friends who go to Orange Theory or Soul Cycle. Same thing. It's like $30 every time you step foot in that godforsaken building. It's fun, but some people are going like a few times a week. Right? Like, let's say you're going 3 times a week. 3. That's 9. Add a 0 on the end of that. That's $90. You're $90 down, and you didn't even have to pay anybody to get out of your way. But you've only gone 3 times, and you have to ride the bike. I don't believe in that. Just like I don't believe in 24-hour fitness. So you can do, you can do all of that. But usually the real kicker of like the Equinox is that. Now, I used to go to a different one because I used to live on the west side of LA. Obviously, Pasadena is the east side. But on the west side, there was one that I went to in the South Bay. And they had like a beautiful gym inside. And they had the exact same gym on the roof that was outside. And they had a pool. And they had a spa, right? Like you had to pay for the spa and stuff, all of that. But you could do the pool. You could do all of this stuff. That was all included in your membership. And I want you to know, the cheapest Equinox one, because I'm only going to one, because I'm not like traveling of like, let me try these out. No, I'm not going to the gym to show up and make a scene, right? Like I'm going to like do my thing and get the hell out of town. And I know some people are like, they have a really nice steam room. I've never gone in that thing and I never will. I'll never take a shower at the gym because I can walk there. Right? Like I don't even need to get into my car. So I'm not using the things that people are like, well, it's better because of that. I don't care about that. Because when I walk in the door, it smells like a YMCA swimming pool. For that amount of money, come on, you guys. And there's like nothing that they can do, right? Like I don't know. There's no window that they can open, like let the steam out. It's always kind of wet. Always, it's clean though. Like like that is really important to me. Because like I said, I was using these like little tiny private gyms before. And I want you to feel bad for me, but I just want you to hear where I'm coming from. Do you know how nice the Olympic Training Center gym is? You could eat off of the fucking floor. I could put a full spaghetti and meatballs dinner, throw it on the fucking ground, and I would take a knife and a fork and I would eat it and not even worry about anything. I wouldn't worry about a damn thing. But if I were to do that at this Equinox, I'd be worried that I'd get like the flu, right? But if I were to do it at like, you know, the Planet Fitness in Pasadena, I'd be worried that I would be patient zero of COVID-25. You know, that has to be worse than the Wuhan bat. That has to be of eating off of the floor of a Planet Fitness in a city, right? But the Olympic Training Center, my God. Oh, that's just where I come from. You know, and I'm going to say this to the people who live in the Midwest and like in the suburbs. You're living the going to the gym dream. You're living the dream. Every gym I've ever been to in like the Midwest is like the cleanest, nicest gym I've ever been to. Every 24-hour fitness, somehow they find the time to clean those. The Planet Fitness, $10 a month. It's like, I want this place to shine like the top of the Chrysler building. Like it's that clean inside. So I'm just trying to escape the chaos by creating more chaos. But basically what I'm getting to is that like it makes me mad every time I see like the charge on my credit card. Like it makes me furious. Right? It makes me absolutely out of my mind, so mad. That I'm sure, you know, you've been, I don't know if they do, I don't even remember if they do this with the other gyms, but with the Equinox, every once in a while, they send a survey. And I want you to know that I take the time to fill out that survey. I take my time filling out that survey. Are you happy with your experience? On a scale from 1 to 5, 1, no. Please explain why. Oh, and I go in, I write paragraphs. And I'm not even kidding at all. This is kind of where I shine, truly. And so I start off and I go, I want you to know that if there was a cleaner option around, I would never set foot inside this building again. It's too wet and it's too dirty and it's not worth the cost at all. It's scathing. It's absolutely scathing. I'm sure whomever's reading it, I'm sure it's a fucking robot who doesn't give a shit. But if it's a human being, I know they're shaking at their desk. I know it. I know that they're shaking at their desk and they're going, sir, they're moving their manager over here. Sir, you might want to see this. There's a Mr. Rippon who's not pleased. And I want you to know that he has the cheapest membership available. So we might want to take this seriously. And back to the cheapest membership, they will make you feel like absolutely like you're crazy, right? Like you're absolutely crazy. When I was working the Olympics, the Paris Olympics, I worked it from Connecticut in Stamford, Connecticut at NBC headquarters. And so I thought, and I was staying in Greenwich, Connecticut. And so there's an Equinox in Greenwich. And so I walked to the Equinox and I was like, hey, I know that I don't have access to like other clubs, but here's the deal. I gave them like the whole spiel and they were like, let me tell you something, which meant that they wanted me to wait 20 minutes for the manager to come. 10 minutes go by, 15 minutes go by, and I was like, this is crazy. I hate this place, but it's my best option. It's not my only option. Like, I know that. I know it's not my only option, but I think it's like the cleanest, quietest one. And I want quiet. Because I'm going to just tell you about the Olympic Training Center one more time as I brush my fingers through my growing mullet. Oh, at the Olympic Training Center, they had beautiful windows and they had AstroTurf inside and outside. And the equipment was sparkling clean and it was quiet. And it was big. It was huge. At like the peak hours of going to this gym, there'd be 20 people inside of it. At the peak hours of the gym I go to now, there's a line of 20 people trying to use some stupid machine. And I got to say this about the people who go to the gym. God, I have a bone to pick with some of you. Listen, if you're grunting and you're huffing and you're puffing, maybe it's too heavy, right? Like, why are you doing that? Stop being so loud. Be loud somewhere else. Anyway, that's my bone to pick. And I'm currently weighed in at 172.8, as I mentioned. And that's, at the top of this episode, I mentioned I have a great, beautiful thing I want to kind of get off of my chest, and it all strings through together. Did it really? No. And like fucking usual, didn't really make that much sense. But I needed to get it off my chest. And yeah. Actually, I'm going to get to voicemails. But before I get to voicemails, I have to say this. My dream for myself, my dream is that I want to get a big, beautiful house. And in that house, one of my priorities, and I say that, and I am sounding out every single syllable and letter in priorities, because it's one of my high priorities, that I build a beautiful gym inside that house, and I never step foot inside a godforsaken fucking Equinox ever again. If Equinox doesn't have any haters, that means I'm not here anymore. I will always be a hater of the Equinox. I'll also always keep going. So, checkmate, Equinox. But one of my priorities, like I mentioned, I'm building a beautiful gym. Beautiful equipment. Beautiful TV that's playing whatever I want. Whatever season of Love Island I want. How about that? 20 hours a day. Not 24 hours. Because that, like I said, no matter even if it's private. No matter even if it's private. The most brilliant sentence I've ever put together. No matter even if it's private, that stuff needs to get hosed down, right? I am just saying, that's my dream. That's my goal for myself. And if I have to think, like, what's the most important thing there? Like, okay, if I'm building the gym, like, what are the most important things there? I need like a weight. I don't even know the names of the equipment. I don't belong there. Okay, what do I need? I need like a weight rack, right? Where all the dumbbells are for the look, right? I even need the hundreds, even though that's just so that the weight rack doesn't blow over. That's why I'll get the hundreds, for the look. I need the barbell thing. That's a really important looking machine in the gym. I need the treadmill. I need the elliptical. I need the Smith machine. Okay, the Smith machine is like the barbell, but that's on the track, so you can stop it. Basically you can do it on its own. I also love those machines that because I'm going by myself, right? And I'm trying to lift heavier, as you can tell from my massive fucking tits, my 170-pound breasts. You can tell. So I like the machines that you can add the weight onto, but it's part of the machine, so you're not going to get hurt or pinned down, right? That's also a fear of mine, that I'm going to lift too heavy and I'm going to get stuck under it, and I'm going to have to ask one of those grunting monsters to can you help me get this barbell off of my chest? I don't want to do that. So I want some of those machines that have the weights into them. I want my own gym. I want a gym. And that's what I want. And I have a friend who's a trainer, and my goal and my dream is I'm making 10 million a day, right? Which is a lot, but we aim high. Even if you shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you land among the $10 million a day. And I'm going to hire him full time, 6 figures, buddy. You're canceling all your plans. You're showing up to 24 Atom Fitness, and we're just hanging out and drinking smoothies and lifting weights. And that's the dream. And we're watching Love Island. We're working out all day. I do miss the Olympic Training Center. I don't miss the Olympic training. But God, I just have to get that off my chest of there is a lot of hate of people, and I'm fully well aware of there are people who go and belong to the Equinox because they just want to say I go to the Equinox because they want people to think that they're like fancy. I'm not one of those people. I would be going to Joe Shit the beer cans open garage if there was one around me. I'd be going there. $5 a month, even less than 24 hour. I would be going there if it was an option, but it's not. There's just not one around me. But yeah, I do know, I don't want you to think that but there are people, and I know that because I go to the gym and I see them. I'm going to tell you about somebody I see at my gym all the time. She's wearing, I think, 2 wigs stacked on top of each other. Okay. Because the hair is very thick. And I don't mean the hair. I mean the hair. It looks like it's hair that's on a helmet that she straps on in the morning. And she walks in, always makeup done. Straight from theater. She has just gotten off stage from 42nd Street. Fully done makeup, thick wigs. White girl. Before we go any further, okay? White girl, thick wigs, full makeup, ass out of this world. Tits, same. We have the same 172 pounds of breast tissue. Me and her, we see it that's how we see eye to eye. I see you. And what does she do there? She lifts a 5-pound medicine ball a few times, lays down on a mat, then gets into one of the workout rooms and takes pictures for 25 minutes. And she does that for the low cost of about $200. I'm sure she has the membership. I think it's $300 something a month to go to any Equinox. I would rather be caught dead than paying that. I'm sure she has it. So she's paying $300 a month to lift a 5-pound medicine ball, drink a Celsius, and take a few pictures every other day. So I know those people exist, right? They're part of my community of people, but whatever. You can't win them all. Let's get to the voicemails. Please, 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 somebody take me out of my misery. And I know who that can be. It can be somebody who left a voicemail.
Please leave your message after the tone.
Hi, Adam. I love your podcast. Me and my sister listen to it religiously. And I just wanted to ask you a question. As a married person, I am 100% sure that my boyfriend is proposing in the next month, but I have no idea when. And I am kind of freaking out. I don't know how to react. I don't know what to wear. I don't know how do I become prepared every day. I am stressed, Adam, and I need your help. How did you react? Did you propose? Can you tell me the story? Please give me some tips on how to prepare for this. Thanks so much. Love you.
Okay, this is a great change of pace. Enough about my weight, which is 172 pounds. Enough about that. Okay, so how I proposed in my proposal story, it's very not typical because I'm not your typical kind of girl. Okay. Let me tell you about it. So it starts off kind of not romantic in a way. And I guess without further ado, let me just get into it. So my husband and I, we had talked about like getting married like one day, right? Like we had been together for, I don't know, like 4 years at that point. And we were talking about like getting married, but we were more talking about like living together and what that would look like. Because I'll be totally honest with you, marriage was never something that I was like, oh, I would love to be like married one day. And I don't know why. It just was never one of those things where it was like that important, maybe. I also think it was like part of the reason why I was like in the headspace to even like meet my husband. Because at that point I was like, I'm good. Like I don't need anybody. And I like doing my own things, and I like having my own interests and things like that. And if I meet somebody that like is into me being as independent as I am, then like that's perfect. But if not, I don't really care. And when JP and I met, that was one of the things that like initially like attracted me to him, was that he was also really independent and he had his own interests and his own dreams and goals. And I think like that's where we really saw like eye to eye. So I think because of that, I was never really like, oh my God, I'm like dreaming of getting married. I knew for a fact I never really dreamed of like having a wedding. Like having a wedding really never appealed to me in any way. I don't know why. Maybe that will like change. Because we have not had a wedding. But so the reason we like even talked about getting married like more seriously was I always said to myself that like, listen, if I am going to get married, the universe will like give me a sign, and the universe will, this is where I can get a little witchy and a little voodoo hoodoo, but whatever. But I'm like, the universe will give me a sign if I'm meant to get married, or if I should even get married, or if it's whatever. Because I don't really care. Because I've had one of my good friends when I was growing up, like her parents were never married, and they were together to the day that her dad passed away. And like marriage was never a thing. Like it never was a thing for them. And, my parents are divorced. I know like so many people who have divorced parents. So it's just like marriage was never this thing that it was really on the top of my mind. So it's like, okay, well, if I get married, the universe will show me a sign that I should get married. Well, when COVID first started in the beginning of like 2020, JP was in Finland and I was here in LA. And so we had spent New Year's together in LA. So we were like celebrated 2019 into 2020 together. And JP went back to Finland like shortly, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks into the beginning of 2020. And then as it was like getting more and more serious and the borders like closed, there was this period of time when the US borders were closed and the European borders were closed. So he could not come into the United States and I could not come into Europe, and we weren't able to see each other. And so we weren't able to see each other for like 10 months. But the exception to this rule was that like if you needed to get home, if you had family. And I remember thinking like, okay, I love this person and I would never want to be separated from them in an emergency situation like this. And so I believed that this was like the universe saying that like this would be a great reason to get married, because you would not have to go through this. Or this would be a different situation. You could be going through this together. And so when we had talked about getting married and what that might look like, because we had talked about it, even though I mentioned that like it wasn't one of my like biggest dreams, it was something we still talked about. That there was like a few different ways that like it could be done, where it's like he could have come to the US and we could have gotten married, and then he'd apply for a green card while in the United States. And then another version of that was he could, if you've ever watched My 90 Day Fiancé, then you're very familiar with the K1 visa. So the K1 visa, and why they call it 90 Day Fiancé, is that you get this K1 visa, and once you get it, you come to the United States and you have 90 days to get married before that visa expires. That's why it's 90 Day Fiancé. But the thing with this K1 visa is that in the process of applying for it, the person who is applying for it is not allowed in the United States during the process. So when we were talking about this, we weren't really sure like which path we would go, but we were well aware that if JP applied for the K1 visa, that he wouldn't be allowed in the US for about 6 or 7 months. Like it would be a long time, 6 to 8 months. So we were always hesitant to like kind of go that route. But when it was in the pandemic, we were like, well, I mean, if we're just sitting here waiting, why don't we just apply for the visa? And at least we're waiting for something. And I remember that we were like on the phone with our lawyer who was like helping us with the process. And I have friends who have like done the K1 visa process and everything. They've done it completely themselves. I was like too nervous that I didn't. And JP can be like so high strung about this stuff. I'm like this stuff, like the legal workings of the US government. And I was like, let's just get a lawyer. And so we were on the phone with the lawyer and she was asking us, she was like, okay, so have you guys proposed to each other? And we were like, oh no, like we haven't even done that. But you know, if you're applying for this visa, you're like, you should be already like engaged and all of that stuff. So when we said like, you know, like tongue in cheek on the phone with the lawyer, like JP's in Finland, our lawyer is like somewhere in the country and I'm in Los Angeles. I'm like, JP, will you marry me? And you know, funny, haha. But so that's like how we technically like began the process. But when we decided that like we were gonna do like rings and stuff like that, we obviously wanted to be together. So like I said, it was 10 months. So 10 months later, if they had loosened the restrictions on getting into Finland. And so I took advantage of it and flew to Finland. And then it was like on this trip where I mentioned it in the beginning of this episode I saw this picture of me with the body shape of a baby doll. So it was on that trip. So just know it was like 10 months into COVID. Just to give you a time and a place. Okay. So it was on that trip that I went and I saw JP and we decided we would go to like a Finnish jewelry shop to get the rings. And we were like, we'll just get like plain bands. And we were there for like 1 second before JP was like, I think I'm going to design my own. And I was like, what if we got diamonds? And so we decided that so that nobody would feel like we were pushing something on the other person, that we would get our own rings. So I got my own ring. He got his own ring. He designed his. I found one that I really liked. This is the one I'm wearing. So we found one that we liked and then we bought them and then we switched. So we gave each other the thing. And we decided so that nobody had like the upper hand, we would figure out like when we were going to do this and then we would do it together. So we actually, once we had the rings, we asked each other at the same time. We did like a 3, 2, 1. Will you marry me? Simultaneously. So we could say we did it at the same time so that there wasn't anybody who was like, well, I asked or I asked, whatever. So that's how we got engaged. Fully planned out. Not a moment of surprise anywhere. Now, the positives to this are that we were absolutely in control of what those engagement photos looked like. Okay? Which is, now I'm going to get back to your call. So you said that you're 100% sure that your boyfriend it's crunch time, basically. Like, it's about time. I don't know where in the process you are. I'm assuming like maybe you've gotten the hint that he's looking for rings, or he maybe found a ring, or you mentioned it. But like, it seems like if you're 100% sure, like you've at least had some like pretty major conversations about this. So that's not what this is about. You are absolutely in the camp of the majority of people who get engaged, of like, you are going to be surprised when it happens. And I think that you need to just like relax and like let it happen when it happens. Because if you're nervous, right? Like, I'm thinking that if you're nervous, you're thinking a little bit about like, there's going to be pictures, like, will my nails look right with the ring? Like, I think you're thinking a little bit all about everything, right? And I'm going to ask you to take a step outside of your experience. And I'm going to say this, that whenever we see like pictures online of like the people getting surprised, or like they're shocked that it's happening, the biggest thing that we're looking for, if it's being recorded or pictures or something like that, is like, we just want to see somebody like in the moment and enjoying it, right? And I honestly feel like you'll be more in the moment if you're just focusing on like enjoying the time that you guys are together, instead of like worrying if it's happening right now or if it's not happening right now. Like, just like let go of that and let your boyfriend do it in the way that he wants to do it, in the way that he feels like it's going to be special for you, so that like you're not like, you know, I'm saying this, I don't mean it this way, like manipulating the situation. And I mean that in the way to like manipulating it into the thing that you think it should be, or like, oh, I should be standing on this side, or like this, or like, just like be in the moment. And when it happens, it happens. And no matter how it happens, I promise you, it's going to be amazing and it's going to be beautiful. And no matter what way it happens, but like, let go. I think you're just a little worried that it should happen in a certain way. And I think like, let go of that. Or you're worried that like, maybe you're not going to like look the way that you want to look when you're getting proposed to. Like, you're going to be like in workout clothes when really you should be like in a sundress, right? Like, let that all go, because you can always have like the moment. But if you're really wanting something like beautiful that like captures that moment, you can just get pictures. You can just sort of like fake it, like fake the surprise. I'm telling you, all you do is like have him go down on one knee and you go like this, hands over thing. It's going to look like it's the moment, right? Like, you can get the shots you want, whatever. But my thing is, you have really nothing to worry about or to be stressed about. Let him be stressed about pulling it off, right? Like, let him be the one who's stressed. All you need to do is stand there and say yes or no, right? Listen, if you're going to say no, that's a little bit different. You should be stressing. I fully believe that. You should be very stressed out. In fact, you should maybe say something now. But it seems like you're going to say yes. And I'm not sure what exactly you're stressed about. Because also, if you're not ready to get married, but you're ready to like, not that you're not ready to get married. If you're worried about like the planning of the wedding and all of that stuff, or if you can you afford it or whatever, you can always wait to get married too. Like, you don't need to get married right away either. Like, you have nothing to be stressed out about. So I think that you should just, enjoy it. If you're in your workout clothes, you're in your workout clothes. If, you're covered in shit, you're covered in shit. It's part of the story. It's part of whatever. And if you want nice photos, just go and take nice photos. Just go and do that. Nothing's stopping you. It doesn't matter if they're like not in the moment or whatever. Like, you could just take the nice photos. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit. So I think just enjoy the moment that you're in and let your partner and your boyfriend, let them stress out about it, especially if that's the dynamic of which it's going. If you're not the one proposing, you have nothing to worry about. If you didn't brush your hair, whatever, say yes and say, hey, hold on. Run your fingers through your hair and say, let's take a picture now. The thing is, you're both going to be crying. It's going to be like an overwhelming moment anyway. You'll both be crying anyway. So that's what I think. Let's do one more voicemail. I know I've been chitting and chatting so long, but...
Please leave your message after the tone.
Hey, Adam, this is Luke from Orlando. I've always, I think you're so cool ever since you, did the Olympics or whatever, but I kind of forget that you did the Olympics. So I'm curious, how does that feel knowing that people don't even they may not associate you to the Olympics. They more associate you to you just being funny on the internet and on TV and stuff. What are your thoughts on that? Intrusive thoughts. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, this is actually quite an interesting question that I actually am excited to answer. Imagine I was never excited to answer any question before this. I'm like, I just had to drag my heels through a woman scared of being proposed to. And now finally I get an interesting question. I am, of course, kidding. And again, relax, just enjoy those moments. My sweet, sweet friend and her sister who listen to the podcast. Let's get your future husband to listen to it too. Have him call in. All right. Let us know how the proposal goes. Okay, so with this one, I think it is interesting. How do I feel about it? How do I feel about people sometimes forgetting that I have anything to do with the Olympics, that I myself am an Olympian, even a medalist from the Olympic Games? I am going to say this. Is that I actually really like it. I do. And there's a piece of me that's very proud that sometimes I will go into situations and people will not know that about me, or they'll be shocked that they forgot it about me, that I went to the Olympics. Because if they've forgotten, it's like this little thing I can throw in at the end of, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. It's a fun thing, a fun little fact. And if they didn't know, then it means that they were introduced to what I do now, and who I am now. And who am I now? I am 172.8 pounds. I'm a lover. And I'm the host of Intrusive Thoughts. That's who I am now. And it actually, like I said, it makes me feel proud that I was able to kind of transition into a different career. Because I was always... I'll be honest, there was a part of me that was always, once I was done competing, running as fast as I could away from being an Olympian and being a figure skater. I would do anything to have people forget that I did that, because I, in a way, wanted to be taken seriously in the spaces that I was entering, in comedy or in entertainment. And I wanted people to see me as a comedian or as an entertainer or as a personality or whatever that is. And I wanted them to see me in that light instead of seeing me as the Olympian on the show or something like that. I wanted to feel like I had the merit to be in those same spaces. And I spent a long time walking away and, like I said, running from it and pushing it to the side that I think that it really wasn't until like this year or maybe even a little bit of last year that like I've started to embrace it a little bit more. And I've started to embrace it in the way where I used to see it as this thing of like, oh, well, he's the skater. We need the comedian to do this. And I now have seen it in the way of like, well, he can be funny. And he also has done this. Like it adds to the credentials instead of like taking away from them in a way. Not that it ever did. It was just like my mindset. And I think it's also like the mindset of an athlete. You know, once an athlete, always complaining about the gym membership. As I did for about 45 minutes. And I am sorry about that, everybody. Really sorry. But I think it's that like athlete mentality of like what you're doing, you give 100%. You can't do anything else, which is like not the mentality that you have with anything else that you'll ever do, you know? And so that was just the way it was. I was like running from it. And the further I have distance from my career as an athlete and as like a Olympian, the more I am open to like embracing it. And I see it as something like that is really cool. Not that it wasn't that, it just wasn't that I didn't see it as cool. It was just, I was really trying so hard to like start a new career. And I just wanted to be seen as somebody who was in that career. If that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's sort of like I was 28 when I retired from being a competitive athlete. But it's like when you graduate high school and you go into college and you just want people to see you as an adult. And you're just trying to make that decision of like, I want people to respect my decisions. I want them to see me like as an adult and people like respect me. And I think like I saw myself entering a new career and I was worried that people wouldn't think that I belonged there or they wouldn't think that I deserved to be there because they had spent more time trying to get there. But I've kind of come to terms and I've like have had like moments of peace with myself of like, no, I deserve to be there. I got there just in a different way. Right. And so I think of it in terms of that. But I think that knowing that there are people who like even forgot I went to the Olympics or didn't remember that I was an Olympian or found me like online and didn't even know that that's, you know, what I used to do. I think like those people, when they find out, it's a cool thing. And I think it was like at the time, it was like a deliberate thing that I did because I was just trying to like reestablish myself because I didn't want to be like somebody who's like holding on to something that they did 10 years ago or 20 years ago of like, oh, I'm going to bring this up. Like, I remember when I was at the Olympics and like, it was just like, I wanted to move on. And so I actually worked and tried really hard to just like push it away. And I've like leaned more into it now in the way that I'm just like, I'm not ashamed. It sounds so crazy to even say that out loud, but I was like almost embarrassed by it in a way, you know, I'm not embarrassed by it. I hope that this is like translating like that you can understand what I'm saying. I was just trying to like start over and I wanted to be known as this new thing that I was trying to create, whatever that was. You know, I didn't know the name of it. I didn't personality or comedian or whatever. It was just, I was just trying to be like something new. And so I dove into that as deeply as I could. And I'm so grateful for like all of those opportunities that like came with it. But it is kind of my dream that I can continue like working and be in these spaces where I can be a personality and be a comedian or whatever. And it becomes this like fun fact of like, did you know that he's actually an Olympic medal winning former national champion figure skater? Like, isn't that crazy? And so that's sort of like a vision and a dream I've had for myself in the last few years. And what I mean of like leaning into it a little bit more, like I had a really good friend of mine who's a figure skater. Her name's Ashley Wagner. If you follow the Olympics at all, I'm sure you know her. She's an Olympic medalist from 2014, and she's a 3-time national champion. We trained together, one of my best friends. And she was kind of pushing me to like, hey, we used to train together. And then when we both retired around the same time, and she moved to the East Coast and I stayed on the West Coast. And so we went from seeing each other every day to barely seeing each other a few times a year. And, you know, like as time goes by, you fall like out of touch, which was something that we both didn't like want. And it wasn't like it was weird when we would talk. Like it felt like we had just talked the day before, even if it had been like months. But she had this idea of like, what if we did like a podcast on like figure skating? And I was always like kind of pushing it off a little bit. I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. But I never like was aggressively like following up on it or whatever. Cause I was like, I'm not a figure skater anymore. And eventually I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's do it. So I think some of the people that listen to this podcast might be listening to my other podcast called The Run Through, which I do with Ashley and our friend Sarah. And it's been amazing because even though I was trying to, and I'm still trying to really like establish myself in this new world, it's been really beautiful to like reconnect with the world that I was a part of. And in reconnecting, I bring that audience into things that I do now. And I am really grateful that I finally like leaned into it a little bit more. Because it's been really nice to be able to like reconnect with that part of me. And I also think, I know I'm dragging on and on, but I also think that like when I retired, I also didn't know how I fit in that space anymore. You know, like what was my point of being in the skating space? Like I was retired. I wasn't a coach. I wasn't, you know, these other things. And I didn't really know where I belonged. So I think that the time away and the me running away from it was almost like a needed thing anyway. And I think it took really like 6-7 years for me to finally be in a space where I'm like, yeah, no, that was like a part of me, but in that distance was like really good and it was like really healthy. And actually, I think on that note, that's a really great way to end this episode. And I hope I've taken you through like a huge range of emotions throughout. I hope I've made you think. I've made you cry. I made you rethink any sort of gym membership you've ever had. And I can't wait for the next one. I just want to thank everybody for calling in and leaving the voicemails. I love being able to have a bunch of voicemails to go through. And eventually we're going to we'll make it through them, you know. But please, please, please keep calling in, keep leaving the voicemails. Our podcast hotline is 310-909-7117. If you don't feel like leaving a voicemail, you can even send a text message, which I recently found out. So you can call the hotline, you can text the hotline, 310-909-7117. And that's been this episode. Make sure that you leave us a 5-star review, because this really is 5-star quality content, and it would help us a lot. And I love you, and I can't wait to intrude into your lives next week with more intrusive thoughts. Until next time, I'm Adam Rippon. I'll see you then.